All right, Dean. Well, let's get today's broadcast or how this huddle all the
Wait,
way started and rock and rolling. Um,
uh, hey, let's have our morning conversation and talk about what things happen. That's basically what we are all about.
it is.
It's
I mean, and the big thing is a lot of the business owners I've talked to, they absolutely love the huddle so far. If you're new coming in and listening to any of this is something that we have brought out that is brand new. We're trying to figure out what we're all going to do with it and how we're going to do it and how guests are going to work and all that different stuff. But today you came up with the topic. So what are we talking
yeah.
about today,
Well,
Dean?
basically, a lot of people, a lot of the questions I'm getting is, how is AI affecting my SEO? And we've all talked about, how SEO is happening with everything out there, and how artificial intelligence is affecting some of the different procedures. A lot of them are still there. A lot, what we want you to do is still there, but the AI piece is got everybody concerned. But I kind of flipped it and said, okay, AI is affecting your SEO. How is your SEO? I mean, how can you leverage the artificial intelligence to make your SEO better? So this is more technically stuff. I mean, what can you do with AI to make your SEO score better? I mean, let's kind of talk about that process. I
A
mean,
ton.
so I want to kind of play more of the question guy, and I'm going to let you be the answer man today because it's a little over my head. I know what I think, but you dive into the data a little heavier on the AI side on how that affects SEO. So
Well, I
let's
mean, the whole entire piece of having a website is absolutely huge for your local SEO, for your SEO, for AEO, for all these different things. So for the people that don't know this, SEO stands for search engine optimization. You have
right.
AEO, which is the answer engine optimization. Fancy ass words for being able to get your business found by more people. And doing it organically. So AI made a major change, in my opinion, when it came out because it allowed us to be able to produce massive amounts of content. And what that did is it made Google, it made Bing, it made voice search, it made all these different search algorithms have to rethink how they're collecting data and what they're collecting. Because AI is really good at regurgitating the same shit over and over and over and over again.
It
It's what it's
is
good at.
right.
And now there's
So
nothing. Now there's nothing new going into it, which is causing a major problem. So when you look at it from an SEO standpoint, you have to make sure that you're putting new stuff in, and you have to make sure it's there. So when you go through and you follow any of our blueprints, and you look at this from a big aspect, and this is going to be a long answer, so be prepared and be ready. So when you look at it going through and doing a blueprint is we recommend that you start with a video, you then take the transcript, you make over a blog post using AI, then you can take the AI and have it do all of your social media from that. It gives you all of your content. And what the reason why we do that is because you're taking unique content from your transcript, something you said, and then cleaning it up into a blog post rather than having it generate something that is just blue sky, something that's regurgitated that's already been out there. So when you're breaking that down for how AI has changed it, it made it to where we can massively amount to be able to massively do a lot of content. But what it actually did for the SEO world is made it simple for us to be able to take unique content, improve it, and be able to take it to that next level. So when you follow that blueprint, you're following it all the way through, you can really use AI inside of there to be able to help your SEO. SEO is overcomplicated, and people have overwhelmed business owners constantly about that term. And it's really not that complicated. It is basically putting out content, structuring your data correctly, and being able to be consistent. If you do those three things, you'll be perfectly inside of your bubble. That's a major kind of long-winded answer. Did that answer your question? Because I'm now
it,
questioning if I
it,
answered
it,
the question.
it does answer my question, and some of the people are starting to say, we used to really spend a lot of time, and we still spend a lot of time about local SEO and what we call SEO for websites or worldwide SEO, if you will. I don't know what you want to call it, universal SEO. There's a lot of different ways that people have talked about it. Do you feel like the AI is kind of compressing it all into one piece? I mean, to a point, or what's your thought there? I mean,
It was, as you know, we've been working on the whole new website piece. We're going to redefine how websites are done, and we have the whole entire piece coming out for that. So I've been really digging into the data side for that piece to figure out how that's going to go together and how that's going to go through. It's always been where you have little sections of what your goals are. So SEO is SEO. I don't care if we're talking local SEO, if we're talking AEO, it's SEO. Um, but what your goals are changes what kind of SEO you're going to go for. So you want to make sure you build your backlinks up. Your backlinks are going to look different if you're an e-commerce site and you're going globally versus if you are a roofer and you're targeting out a service area of this location versus if you're a restaurant, you want to target people who are close to you in proximity or within your delivery area. So you have different versions of it based on what your goals are. So, I mean, it's all lumped into one big thing, but how you section that off and divide it is going to be how it gets all taken out. Does that make
okay,
sense?
yeah, it does. It does. So there still is a definition difference between your goals with your SEO for how your business is based on your business model. And people get kind of hung up on that a little bit. And I always like to have you explain it in your terminology because I think you do a good job of bringing that down at our levels. So let's kind of back up to the video piece real quick that you talked about, the transcripts that you talked about in the first answer. There's a lot
Yep.
of businesses out there that say, well, we don't have the software, we don't want to spend the money for it. How would you recommend to those small businesses or local businesses to how to get started in that process? I mean, we do it. Yeah, I know, but
Everybody has this, and that
right,
recording device is good enough. People are looking for stuff that's real. People aren't looking for studio quality for 90% of your business. If you're a roofer, if you're a restaurant or a chiropractor, they're not looking for someone that's really fancy. Yes, fancy video can do really well. And I know when we're at chamber events and we're talking to the video guys, they want to argue that and say, it has to be crisp. And, my $1,000 camera is better than yours. And I'm like, well, technically mine was $1,000 too, just also as a phone. Um, but I
uh,
mean,
you never cut them any slack, Rob. You never do.
not, but I mean, it's one of those things to where you have to get the content out there. Getting the content out there is going to matter more than the quality. The quality really doesn't matter. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. I mean, if you walk through a job site, talk about it all the way through the job
Right.
site and get the same exact benefit from it because you're recording your voice out. Yes, you're going to do better if your face is inside of the video. I mean, how would you feel if you're? I mean, I guess some people will listen to this podcast, so they don't get to see you and I's faces, and it's probably a good thing.
Yeah,
But
I was going to say, I wasn't going to comment, but yes, I agree with you on that
I
one.
mean, it's one of those things to where you're getting that content and it's your words. A lot of business owners have a hard time with they're managing and they're struggling to be able to go through and manage their time. They're managing their money of how much budget they have. Having a videographer come in is expensive. Plus, it's going to take your time up because now you have to go through all those steps. And for the amount of content that you have to put out there and do it to be able to generate it, you'd go broke. That's why for any small business, just going through and recording, pulling out your phone and having a conversation. I went through, I did this job site. Here's what I did. Here's what the customer wanted. Hey, just got done baking this cake for this wedding. Look how great it is. Or whatever it might be, you can come up with content. And I mean, if you're a member of simplybefound.com, we'd be more than happy to give you ideas for what that content would look like for your business type
Right,
because it's
right.
different for everybody, but it's something that you can't overcomplicate because if you overcomplicate it, you're going to lose.
So if I record with my phone, I can get a transcript off of that.
You can get a transcript off of that. Technically, you can record, so you can also do a voice recording. So if you don't want to do video and you want to skip it and you have an iPhone, I'm not sure if Android does this or not, but you can actually
Right.
get a transcript off of that as well.
Okay,
You can
that's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm saying you don't have to go out and buy anything And there's also some free apps out there that you can get your hands on too that
There
allow
is.
you to record up to like 5 minutes or so, but they're not real lengthy like what we do. But there's ways, but you don't have to have an hour video. You can do shorts right now on YouTube are what 1 to 3 minutes kind of thing.
Anywhere between 10 seconds and 3 minutes, I believe, as of
Oh,
today.
yeah, that's right. I get myself messed up
They
because
put out that thing.
it used to be up to a minute is all, but now it's up to 3 minutes you can do for shorts. So
Correct.
you can do some
Which
things.
go which if you're going to do a short, it's probably one of the best things any small business or any business owner could do inside of their business. You can, if as long as you have a YouTube channel, you're logged in onto your YouTube app, you can click the plus button, and maybe I'll record a video on this, but you can record a plus, hit your plus button, and go into an instant recording. You record it, boom, post it out live, and you're done. And you can get a transcript right off of that because YouTube does transcripts on all of their videos.
Right. And then with that transcript, you can ask and we go back to kind of how we started this thing. You can take that transcript and ask the artificial intelligence to make it a little better for you on your posts and things like that. You can say, you can
Correct.
actually use it to and I call it leveraging your AI. I mean, the AI is another person that a tool that can help you to be creative. It can help you to get through some of the writing
Yep.
blocks that you get because I get it and you get it every once in a while. We're going, I need some help trying to get through this, and then you ask the artificial intelligence, it may rewrite it in such a way too that it's going to give you some ideas on how you can put it into your social media posts as well, and or a blog on your website. So you've created all this content by just a little bit of effort with the video process. I know this is kind of I kind of went off, but I really want to talk about the video side because that's how do we get the content and not sound like everybody else out there? Because if you just use AI, just say it starts to all sound the same, and you're not getting original information out there that the AI makes you different. So we're back to kind of going full circle with that, but more so using the video and then the tools that go with that to get to your content. You kind of agree with that? What I'm
I,
saying,
I
or
I do. I agree with it, and I think the AI needs to be looked at as like having an assistant with you at all times. You can have that assistant go out and do research for you, and every AI is different. You've got Gemini from Google, you have ChatGPT from OpenAI, you have Claude.ai, which was a team that started with ChatGPT and then started their own piece. You have hundreds of thousands probably at this point of other AIs, and they all use one another to a point. So it depends on which one you're using. I mean, we utilize probably about 6 or 7 AIs on a daily, or at least I do on a daily basis, and each one has its own piece. Like I like Gemini for its research piece. But I mean, it's a matter of using it like an assistant to be able to do a task and to save you time. But you have to make that content unique to you. And by starting with that video, you're going to be able to break it down and be able to make it very unique to your own self.
right, and that's the key is original, unique, because that's going to set you apart when that whole search engine process, the
Correct.
answer piece, the question gets asked by the client or whatever your potential clients or customers, and it's going to be long tailed. It's going to be whatever search engine they're using or network they're using will determine how that's all discovered. And so the more you put out there by yourself, the better.
It
So
is. Because it makes unique piece, and it's you because you're the one that said it, and then it uses that as the reference point if you put in your commands correctly. And I mean, if you look at it from that aspect, and why I talk about that all the time, to start with video and then break your content down that way, is like I said, business owners have a limited resource usually for money and for time, and we're
right,
running around like chickens with our heads cut off. So being able to take that content, streamline it down, and be able to produce it out, that's going to be better than what any marketing agency could ever do for you because it's your content. You know your business better than absolutely anybody, in
right.
my opinion.
No, I agree with that 100%.
You
So
know you know the problems you're solving. You know the questions you're being asked. You know all of those things. So it's about taking those resources because your business is full of data, and data is an amazing piece inside of the marketing world because it's stacked up. You have tons of data. You've got your data that goes out and gets registered on all the different networks to get you on voice search and get you on all the local directories and get you on Google and Bing, and the list goes on. So you have that data, but then you also have the data of your business beyond that, which would be the content. Those are the problems you solve. And the search algorithms are looking for something that is unique. So when you stack on that and build on it, you're actually going to be able to get the results you're looking for a lot faster. Because
exactly.
it used to be where you had, so back, if we go all the way back to the 90s when we were doing SEO back then, before SEO was even really a thing, you would do all your meta keywords, you'd stack all your stuff in, make sure your titles are right, put your alternative images in, you do all that different stuff inside a notepad, because you really didn't have any graphics back then, because you're working off of a 14.4 modem or a 56K modem if you're lucky, depends on which part of the 90s you were in. So you couldn't be really graphic heavy because it took too long to load. So you had all that content in there, and you delivered it out that way. You had a couple of graphics here and there, but nothing like you do today. But that you waited for the search engine to come in and analyze that whole page. So back, if we go all the way back to like Alta Vista for how it did that back in the day, it had a web, what was called a web crawler. It would go through it and crawl the website and look at all the code, and it made its decision of what everything was. Fast forward all the way to today, you have Google. Google's gotten a lot smarter. So when they go through and they look at your website, they're looking at, has this content been used before? Have it, is it unique? What grade level is it is it wrote at? And also, does it have the right structure? And it's looking for to be able to back it up. It'll say, okay, if you talked about this as it inside of your service page, it can actually link its pages together, which is why internal linking inside of your website is so important for SEO, um, and why it's all built all the way together. Now, a lot of web agencies don't even get how the new algorithms are working, and I think it's really not to the fault of their own, but they didn't really understand how they used to work back in the day and what they're really built on. It's kind of like looking at the difference between someone who can work on a computer who knows MS DOS versus the person who doesn't. Some of that old shit really actually helps a lot.
Yeah, yeah. That's how my first days. You had to know the DOS system to even turn your
Right.
computer on. But we've gotten past that a long ways. So
We have.
one of the things,
Remember Windows 3.1?
I remember being told on an old Radio Shack computer that it had 30K RAM. Who would ever need more than that much RAM? Oh my gosh! And so, but
My
that's the
grandfather
people,
told me that no one would ever put their credit card information to buy
right?
anything online. Now your
Right.
whole entire banking system is online.
Exactly. But and that's the thing is, this technology changes. You have to move with it. You have to understand. You don't have to be an expert at it, but you have to understand how it's going to work for you. I don't care about why XYZ makes this number happen. All I
Yep.
care about is that when I put stuff here, I get the results I'm looking for over here, and that's the whole point of the technology and the artificial intelligence and all those things that are going on, is that you just have to make sure that you understand enough to make sure that it's working to your advantage. And
Right.
you and there's also people out there like our marketing coaching team that'll help you to understand that. You don't have to become an expert. Say, hey, I need some help. And as members, that's one of the things that we do is we say we'll help you on that, but understanding your keywords, your services and products, and how to tie that all together for you to make it all come full circle with the whole process.
Well, and that's an absolute huge point is the fact that we could take something that's super complex of a complete data analysis. So we have so much data on our side that we can see. We don't have reporting for how many clicks or how many times somebody asked for you on voice search and all that because the data points aren't there that I know of. I'm still waiting for someone to prove me wrong on that. but there's so much data for what is being searched. We can go in, as our data science team can go in and say, okay, what keywords are being searched in here? So if you are going to want to know what should I work on, what should I record on, we can actually base that on what is actually being asked, what is being searched, and what is happening inside of your local area.
Exactly.
We know all those data points.
Yep, exactly. And let's
We
kind of
might not know them right away. I had somebody kind of get frustrated yesterday on chat. They were like, well, can you just tell me what it is right now? And I'm like, well, I have to go in and I have to run a report and then analyze the report, and then I can get back to you on what those keywords are. The
right.
report takes about, some time to be able to generate for how we do it, because we don't just utilize one system. We utilize about 6 different systems to make sure the report is accurate and we're going after it the right way. And he goes, oh, I thought this was all instant. And I blame Amazon for this and same day delivery, and everybody wants everything right away. And it's like,
Oh,
some things take time to be able to do it if you're going to do it right. And if you're not just calling the bullshit card on everything.
exactly. So you and I kind of talked about that particular chat that the support ticket you had, and we found it really interesting that they wanted all this high level stuff, but they weren't taking care of some of the basic things first, like making sure that their categories were right. I
Right.
mean, we're talking about. I mean, yeah, categories are huge. Making sure your keywords are put in correctly, and your name, address, phone number, which goes back to the very beginning. Name, address, phone number, and they weren't doing all the simple things that needed to do to make the complex stuff effective. And so you have to build from the ground up a little bit as well
You
on that
do.
SEO process.
It's a very unique process for how you have to build on yourself. And you have to be willing to be able to help yourself and know what is there. It starts with the basics. So if you look at how we set up simplybefound.com, and we set it up to where it solves the NAP SW. So you have name, address, phone number, social, and website. The website piece is going to be a huge piece coming up, especially as we redefine what that looks like. But that NAP piece is going to be most important. Now, just because you register your business today doesn't mean you're instantly going to be on all of the networks. It gets sent out to the network. They get to decide what happens with it from there. You still have to beat there. If I had $1, or actually if I had a penny for everybody who ever wanted me just to instantly approve them inside of Google and thought that we were the magic bullet that was just going to instantly make everything turn on, um, I wouldn't be having this conversation right now. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Well, our videos would be a lot more professional looking. No,
They would probably have
you know,
somebody a lot better looking than this, but
yeah,
hey,
exactly, exactly. We have a better AI model for ourselves, but no, but and the other thing too is when we're talking about putting up a YouTube channel. I know that you've done videos. I think there's some on our channel right now on how to set that all
I
up.
think so.
I
I need
don't
to
know.
get
We
better at
have we
that.
have close to 2,000 videos, and they're all raw. Like yeah, we don't really edit our videos, so there's a lot of raw data out there, and we get talking about so many things. But if we don't have something and you want to set that up, you just reach out to us and
Yeah,
let us know. We'd be happy for that. But as far as setting up a YouTube video, it's not difficult. But people don't understand that YouTube is actually becoming its own search engine as well. And I think correct me if I'm not right. I think Google owns YouTube, correct, or they manage YouTube or whatever.
yep. And did you know YouTube, when it originally got started? For one, it was started by. I don't quote me on this, and I'm sure someone will call me out if it's wrong. But Elon Musk was actually a roommate for the person who, or went to college with the person that created YouTube, and they were part of the whole group that was part of PayPal and all that different stuff. But I believe YouTube was originally created as a dating app.
I think we've talked about that before, and
We've
I've
talked
never,
about that
I've never,
before.
I've never deep dived in it to prove you right or wrong. But I think that we've had that conversation before.
A
So
lot of things start off one way and end up going a different way. I mean, we started off when we started Simply Be Found. We started off where we were very Google oriented, and at this point, I mean, I did some videos a while back that were that Google's dead the way we know it, and I still truly believe Google is dead the way we know it. and they've had to revamp. It's why you have new dynamic search where you change up how you're being searched. You have so much dynamic pieces, and that's probably the biggest thing that AI has brought to SEO. Going back to where we started the video at, AI has really brought in where it has made things a lot smarter. It's almost like there's a human brain behind it that's making decisions versus it being the algorithm that's very strict and where you can manipulate it, because it's constantly going, okay, well, this person searched for this. They never clicked on anything. They've searched for it 5 times, 6 times. And that's part of that whole piece of when you're searching for yourself, you start seeing yourself bounce all over because you're not clicking on yourself. You're not going through the motions. It looks like a
Right.
real user. So then it thinks it's delivering the wrong result. And searches become dynamic versus being static.
Right. And
AI
we've
has brought that full circle.
right. And we've seen that where people are ranking number one, and then the next day they're ranking number three, and then the next day they're number one again, or within hours we've even seen them move around. And that's just really amazing that you see that kind of movement, which tells me that however AI or the search engines are pulling your data in, it's shifting. So what's the dynamic of it? We don't really have that all nailed down yet, but we're working on trying to figure out a little bit more about why
It's
things are
gonna
happening.
it's gonna make it really hard for reporting software that's tracking where people are ranking on stuff. We utilize some of those tools, but when you look at it and you look at different companies that pull things out, if you look at Yext, SEMrush, all these big corporations that are pulling data and they're updated once a day. Well, the problem is it's now dynamic. How are they going to shift and change to make that information become dynamic as well for
Right.
reports? But it all starts with Google. Half of their reports are anywhere between 12 hours to 36 hours old that they give over based on. So it's an API. So when they send them over out to the public to be able to pull off of their system to grab that data points, it's 12 to 36 hours old. So it may have changed by now.
So you just
It's
used
it's it's flipping over the entire industry.
right. So you'll see the thing that you just mentioned in our API. Define what API is for people, because I know how I think about it as a layperson before I got in technically involved. But once you explain what an API is and how that really works,
So an API is how we get information from something. So like when we post over to Facebook, we connect to them. You gave us permission to have a permission level inside of that network to be able to connect to them to be able to send over the post. So we send the post over to them. It's no different than just a communication piece to be able to say, hey, we can send stuff to you and post on your behalf, and or we can pull information. So if we're using data points, say like for Google Analytics or something like that, we send a request into Google, they provide that request back. But that information is usually lagging in some aspect from real time data.
right? But
And
if
Google
you
does that because they want to control that masterpiece. They want you going and using their products.
right, because you can actually get it from Google Analytics, and it's a little more, and that's a free product for anybody out there to go look at your stuff. By the way, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can bring up right now. I think we kind of exhausted the conversation a little bit. Is there anything you want to bring up right now?
That's all I've got for today. If you're not a member or you want to be able to join, come check us out at simplybefound.com. We do things a lot bit different. A lot bit. If I could talk, see, we do things a lot different, and you can prove that this is not edited because of that right
Because it
there.
will not be. This will not be edited out. This will be
This will
in
not
there.
be edited out, and this is not an approved message. I mean, it's one of those things to where I think there's a lot of changes, and there's a lot of changes getting ready to come, and I'm excited to see what ends up happening. We have some major changes getting ready to happen to our stuff, but definitely make sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you're listening. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, even if you don't become a member, and get value off of all of that. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can talk to Dean or I live on our website at simplybefound.com. Thanks and have a great day.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everybody.